the heart of our faith. What is it that calls you here, that calls you onward, that calls you inward, that leads you homeward? What is it that gives you power to make change, to ask the question, and to take the journey? What is it that says you have done well, that asks you to learn more, that brings you to stillness, that holds you up in hard times? It is relationship. It is the beating of our faith, the heart at the center. It begins when we share, when we come together in this hour to share our truths, to be together in this space, our hearts as one. These words to bring us into our space by Monica Jacobson Tennyson. What is it that calls you here? Can you see it? Can you feel it? Can you taste it? Can you touch it? It seems to be beyond our senses, but something calls us into this space. Maybe it was the thought, the idea that maybe you'd hap across some free donuts this morning. That's possible. And you know what? That's okay too. We are not above bribery here at our fellowship. And if it takes donuts and coffee to get you here, then by Jove, donuts and coffee we shall have. Our prelude this morning was I Can't Last a Day Without You. All of our music by Debbie this morning will be donut themed. And, all right, let's just do this. Knock, knock. Donut. Don't ask me who. It's a secret. I can't tell you. You know, Lewis Black said once that if you stop eating donuts, you will live 3 years longer. And that is 3 more years of just wanting to eat a donut and not being able to have it. And if you were ever wondering if we here at the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Central Oregon have our finger on the pulse of what is good and happening in the world, just look at your Source Weekly from last week, and there's a whole article on donuts and the choices that we make as we choose our donuts. So we are nothing if not timely and topical here at this fellowship. We are glad that you came here this morning, no matter your life story. And even if you don't like donuts, that's just fine. Donuts are not a necessity of being a part of this fellowship. They are an option. They are a choice. They are a way that we can choose to live our lives, and that's what we come to do together here, to walk together amongst our diversity and see what we can find for this journey of life together. So we welcome you here no matter your age, whether you are 3 or you are 83. We welcome you no matter the color of your skin, the background of your life, your sexual orientation, your gender identity, how much money you have in your bank account, whether you like long walks on the beaches, getting caught in the rain, if you like pina coladas. If you don't like those, you're also welcome here. No matter who you are, we're glad that you're here. We're glad that we can learn from you, and hopefully that we can come together and we might offer you a little something for your journey along the way. Will you please rise and body or spirit this morning as we sing one of my favorites, a most rousing opening song, Morning Has Come. Can we do one more very ever so brief opening song? I'll teach it to you. It's very simple. It goes like this. Thank you very much, dear choir. Thank you. So that's it. Ready? Thank you so very much, dear choir. Thank you. We are ever so grateful for our choir this year. Our fall was a bit topsy-turvy, and our choir got through those moments with solidarity, with grace, with love, with some humor mixed in. And they guided us through on this yearly journey as well. And so we wanted to thank you, choir, for what you do. You bring music into the life of this fellowship. You are the heart and soul of this fellowship. We look forward to any time you sing. And you are our guide and inspiration this year. And so we also want to thank, And while we're clapping, can we clap for Debbie? Yeah. And up until this moment, we have been figuring out what we do week to week. 1 week Mark's leading the choir. 1 week's Randy's leading the choir. 1 week Chayla's leading the choir. And that has been fantastic this year. It has brought us a diversity of style and music and fun. So thank you to Mark. Will you please stand up for you? And Randy and Chayla. And Mark has also been the one behind the scenes making sure that things happen, emails get sent, people show up, and that people are organized. So we are grateful to that. Why am I talking about all this right now? What could be shifting or changing? It is because in 2 weeks' time, when our choir sings, they will be under the official interim choir direction of Randy King. So in effect, this Sunday kind of closes this season of our choir, and we will finish the rest of the year under Randy's solid and competent and exuberant, I shall say, direction, and we're looking forward to that. So shall we sing our choir song one more time? Ready? I don't remember how it goes. I just made it up.
Would you like the choir
How'd it go?
to teach you?
Yeah, it's choir, yeah. Thank you. How did it go? Thank you, choir.
Choir,
Thank you, choir. Well, we're making a new one. It goes like this. This is a different one. It goes like this. This one's more exciting. This one goes, thank you, choir. You rock. Ready? Thank you, choir. You rock. All right. All right.
Hi, I'm Dory, and this is Mari will light the chalice. Open to Unexpected Answers by Julianne Lepp. We seek our place in the world and the answers to our heart's deep questions. As we seek, may our hearts be open to unexpected answers. May the light of our chalice remind us that this is a community of warmth, of wisdom, and welcoming of multiple truths.
So we're doing things a little out of order this morning, and it's so we can get right to the donut business. We'd like to invite our kids down for our Time for All Ages, and we're going to learn how they make donuts. They don't just happen or fall from the sky. So, well, we're not going to make donuts up here. Don't get excited. We're going to watch a video about donuts being made. So, if you are a youth, young at heart, come on up. What's up, Phil? Good morning. All right. Do you all like donuts? You do like donuts? Okay.
Cream-filled donuts.
Cream-filled donuts, we've got preferences. All right. You ever wonder how donuts are made? Yeah, I mean, they don't just magically appear. They could, but they don't. They're actually made. And Jonathan has a video for us. And we're going to watch, because I could explain it, but it probably wouldn't translate very well. So we're going to watch a video on how donuts are made. Now, these are a certain kind of donuts. You all don't have Krispy Kreme out here in the Pacific Northwest, do you? There's one in Portland. Okay, so if you drive to Portland, you can get Krispy Kreme. Coming back from the Midwestern area of our country, Krispy Kreme donuts are kind of a thing, shall we say. They're a certain kind of donut, so those are the folks who are going to show us how to make donuts. They make their style of donut. Lots of different styles.
Do you make cream-filled donuts?
Krispy Kreme? They do make them. That's not their main one, but they do make them, yeah. Jonathan, hit us with a video.
Donuts do you have, do they include cream-filled donuts?
Not today. Yeah, sorry. No cream-filled donuts today. But, oh man, started off the Time for All Ages with a big old fat bummer, huh? No cream-filled donuts. But on the upside, there are donut holes, so that you all have some donut holes in your RE classes. That's cool. So let me ask you a question. I have heard over here from Indigo that big fan of cream-filled donuts. Do you all have other donuts that you like favorites? What?
Really any donut.
Any donut, yeah. Equal opportunist. How about chocolate? Chocolate chip donuts? Whoa, awesome. Gourmet. Oh, cookies, okay. How about any other kind of donuts you like? Old-fashioned, those are good ones. Maple, uh-huh. Sprinkle. Cream-filled? Jelly-filled. Some people like those, yeah. So isn't it interesting? We all have different donuts. Does anybody not like donuts? Not crazy about them? Yeah, you can just not like donuts, too. That's also a thing. Isn't that interesting? We all like different donuts. Some of us don't like donuts, You almost could say you have a relationship with donuts, right? There are donuts you like more than other donuts. There are some people don't like donuts at all. And that's interesting. And if we look around us in the world, we start to notice that we have relationships with lots of things around us, not just donuts, but with other people. We have relationships with the world around us. In fact, our entire world is made up of relationships around us. Some of these things we might enjoy more, some we might enjoy less. Anybody like asparagus? Yes. Anybody not like asparagus? That's what I thought, right? See, so that's how it works. So we begin to define who we are and our identity sometimes by the things we like and we don't like, that we love and we don't love. And that makes, some sense of who we are as a person, as a kid. But you know what's underneath all of that? Something deeper. Something deeper inside of you, so deep that we don't even necessarily have a word for it. It's just this beingness inside of you. And it doesn't care about asparagus or not asparagus. It doesn't care about donuts or not donuts. It doesn't even have an opinion on its favorite donut or if donuts should even exist. It's just this thing inside of you that is you, that is deeply inside of you. And it's kind of this thing that we can't even, you can't touch it.
Is it your brain?
You can't, no, it's not your brain. It's your life. It's your being. It's whatever it is that makes us all alive. It's inside of you. It's inside each and every one of us.
So it's the cells inside of us?
It's what those cells make up, yeah. And so, despite all of our differences about donuts or not donuts, asparagus or not asparagus, each one of us has this very special thing inside of us called life that makes us exist and that is not concerned at all with our opinions on donuts or asparagus. It is just there to always be there for us when we calm ourselves and can find our center and know that, oh, here I am alive, and here I am a part of this world, and here I am perhaps ready to go eat a donut hole in RE. So maybe we'll just get on with it and sing our religious exploration song.
But before we go to RE, we need to say the Children's Covenant. So will you help me do that?
In this place I am kind. In this place I am loving. In this place I am a friend to the earth and all animals and people. In this place I am loved.
Now we've all got donut holes on the mind. So good morning and welcome to our service. I'm Chayla Sloper, the Congregational Life Facilitator. My pronouns are she, her, and there's good news that we have more she, her pronoun stickers at the visitor table if you have been wanting to adorn your name tag with your pronoun stickers. A special good morning to those who are on Zoom. I will be curious to know if our numbers on Zoom exceed our normal average just because of the weather. Yes, it truly is winter. But a special hello to those who are with us on Zoom, wherever you are. You're part of here as well. Let us know that you are with us in the service. There's a virtual visitor form that will be in the, there's 50 people on Zoom today. Hey, that's really exciting. So hi there. Let us know that you are here with us and that you'd like to sign up for our announcements, or rather our email, the All Congregation email. And that is also available to sign up at the Connections Corner and at the front desk. So today, because of the snow, there's fewer people in the sanctuary. That is kind of predictable. But lately, we've been feeling the good problem of having a lot of people come. It just feels like there's such a good wave of energy after COVID in particular and since September. So in the skyline, there are some friendly suggestions about how we can alleviate some of the parking congestion. This is a good problem to have, but it may take a little bit of ambition to walk across the street. Across the street on Skyliners is Roughware, their offices, and we can park in their parking lot. And then also on the street there on Lolo Drive. So it's just a thought of if you think it's going to be a full Sunday morning, and if you can do that walk, we would really appreciate it. It's likely, we don't know for sure, but it's likely we'll just keep with one service until the end of summer at least. And so Reverend Scott will be on sabbatical. We've been hearing about that. So just a thought of how to make it possible for us all to come here to service. So the overnight shelter at First Presbyterian Church happened last night. It'll be happening tonight and tomorrow night because of the freezing temperatures. And so our homeless outreach team invites you to contact them if you would be available for either today or tomorrow. And there's a variety of things that you can do there. But contact Homeless Outreach. The email is in the Skyliner. And about the bottle and can returns, we've been getting some more complaints from the bottle drop people. And so there's like, I know it's probably nobody here, and we want you to use those blue bags, but we just really need to make sure that there's only returnable bottles and cans and no trash and no bags. Like if you put your paper bag into that plastic bag, it's not a good idea. Most importantly, however, next Sunday, we're going to be hosting here the Oregon Interfaith Earth Summit. And for those of you who know about ecumenical activities, the Ecumenical Ministries of Oregon, which gathers folks of various faith traditions, they're sponsoring this. It's going to be a statewide event, and so we'll have a gathering here at UUFCO in the sanctuary, and then there'll be a patch-in with folks in Portland, and then some things going on here as well. So that's next Sunday, and that starts at 1:30. I think that does it for me, but I have the pleasure of introducing Tom Moore, the co-chair of our stewardship committee, and he has some exciting things to tell you, and blessings on your day.
Good morning, here and at home. Clap, sing along, and whistle when you know it's the right time. You will know. Some people call me the space cowboy. Yeah. Some call me the master of love. Some people call me Maurice. Speak of the confidence of love. That's it. Thank you for helping. These are the lyrics from Steve Miller's 1973 rock song hit, The Joker. So, let's talk about the pompousness of love and how it walks hand in hand with the pompousness of giving. I'm Tom Moore, representing the Stewardship Committee, and February is our pledge month here at UUFCO. Loving and giving. Loving and giving. Members of this fellowship have always demonstrated a very caring and giving relationship with this church and with one another. And we all know the phrase, it's better to give than receive, right? Well, consider this. When you make a pledge to this church in February, you are both giving and receiving at the same time. Your pledges will turn into financial gifts that fuel our annual budget. And those dollars fund and support all the programs and activities that we value here, like our incredible, hardworking, beloved staff, the magic which creates our RE and music ministries, our social justice and community outreach programs, and our facilities and grounds maintenance efforts, just to name a few. Back in September, the Stewardship Committee began discussing plans for this year's pledge campaign. We started by reviewing the results from the listening sessions last spring, and we came up with this pledge campaign theme: expanding our dream. Of course, expanding a dream won't just happen because of a tagline. It requires thoughtful effort from all members. When you receive your pledge packet in the mail, this week. I dropped off 255 envelopes at the post office on Thursday. Please take a few minutes and read the letter. We kept it brief, just one page, but the message written by Laura and Scott and Fletcher is well worth your time and consideration. And now let me present this year's pledge goal. $490,000. This certainly is an ambitious goal, but our membership has continued to grow, and I have faith that we can accomplish this task and perhaps exceed it. And speaking of new members, here's how the campaign works. The board and finance committees have set the goal, and next week you will hear from those leaders just how they arrived at this number. Scott, Laura, and Fletcher will be here discussing the differences between a needs-based goal and an aspirational goal. Then it will be up to each and every one of us and you to send in your pledge using one of the following methods. Go online to the church website, or you could email the bookkeeper at UUFCO, or finally fill out the pledge card inside the envelope. There are some stickers to fold and seal it. You need to put a stamp on it and mail it in. There will also be a place out on the kiosk to drop your pledge card in and save that stamp. Please send in your pledge by May 28th. May 28th. Or February 28th. Okay, really, February 28th. Thank you, Leora, for editing me. I know Leora does not want to be counting these all the way through May. That's it. It's easy. And each week we will be updating the rising pledge amount on our Expanding Dream banner, which again will be out in the hallway as you come in. The amount of your pledge is completely up to you. But as members of this fellowship, we are asking that everyone take part and be a part of this campaign. We are stronger when we act together, and the act of pledging your financial support to this fellowship is, again, a sincere and loving act of love and loving and giving. I will be out in the hall at coffee for anyone that has questions about our pledge drive. So thank you, thank you, thank you on behalf of the entire Stewardship Committee and the Church Board of Trustees for your faith, your trust, and your support of our UUFCO church family. Thank you. Just one more thing. Scott, you should know that since we've been talking about money and raising dough for the church, I consider all the members of the stewardship team, the endowment team, and the finance committee true dough nuts.
Tell him that got equal parts groan, equal parts aw. He does. Elicited the response. Yeah. Well, that's. Thank you, Tom. That's for obviously our annual pledge drive to fund our annual budget that happens in February. And now we'll just take a regular, good old-fashioned offering, which we do each week here to support the ongoing work of this fellowship. And Debbie, what is this song that has to do with donuts? You light up my life. That Debbie is a donut liker, I think. Appreciate her. I don't know that song. What is that song? Seriously, who sings it? Debbie Boone. I know I'm generally up on my boomer music, but I just did not get that one. Before I was born, yeah. Well, you all knew the chorus pretty well. Those verses were pretty mumbly. It's one of those. You light up. That's what yeah. All right. Anyway, learning new things. That's a joy in life. Joys and sorrows, our lives are made up of them. We gather on Sundays and we share our joys and sorrows with one another. We write them on these forms we have out on the kiosk, and we also light candles. So if there's a joy or a sorrow in your heart that you'd like to light a candle for, please do so while I read these aloud. Barbara Silversmith writes both a joy and a sorrow. Brant Silvers, son of Barbara Silversmith, has reached his career goal at age 50. He is now deputy director of a Millennium Project in Benin, West Africa. Benin, to build the connection road from that country to its neighboring country. The sorrow is that he and his family, including my only granddaughter, Madeline, will be gone for 5 to 7 years. That is hard. Well, it's wonderful that he is completing that life goal. And we'll be here for you for 5 to 7 years, Barbara. Come hang out with us. Judy Herbert shares, let's send loving and healing energy to Trisha Bell for courage and well-being through her surgery tomorrow. We send our love. Indeed, we send our love to Trisha. And joy, a first grandchild. Steve and Julie Sloop are proud grandparents. Baby Naom arrived this morning at Legacy Emmanuel. Josie Albert's mom? Josie Albert, did I say that right? Julie, yeah. Julie and Steve, yeah. And everybody's doing well. That's Steve was really excited when he wrote this, I think. It's a little hard to read. I actually saw Steve when he came in, and he was just ear to ear, like, hey, guess what, first grandchild? Congratulations to you and Julie and to the family. Well, coming off the joys and sorrows of our life, let us just take a moment to breathe in deeply and share in a sung prayer together. Now, oddly enough, when you think about donuts all week, you do think about things like circles and metaphors, and there is a cyclical thing that happens in our lives, and it's achieving things that we want and celebrating that, and sometimes it's falling short in our lives as well. And so this prayer and song is a meditation that invites us into that process of beginning again, of understanding that we do fall short sometimes, but when we do, we can always reground and we can begin again in love. So I'll read the lead-in ideas, and then you'll respond with the sung response, and we forgive ourselves and each other, we begin again in love. And Mark is going to show us how that goes.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
Fantastic. So we'll sing that together. We're going to follow that with some silence shared with one another. For remaining silent when a single voice would have made a difference.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For each time that our fears have made us rigid and inaccessible.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For each time we have struck out in anger without just cause.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For each time that our greed has blinded us to the needs of others.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For the selfishness that sets us apart and alone.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For falling short the admonitions of the Spirit.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For losing sight of our unity.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For those and for so many acts, both evident and subtle, which have fueled the illusion of separateness in our lives.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
it was in the dark and in the winter that my alarm went off at about 5:15 a few Saturdays ago, and I rolled out of bed so that I could get to the donut shop at 5:30, exactly when they opened. I'd had this idea that perhaps donuts in a donut shop would give us some good content to think about for a Sunday service, because when I go to a donut shop and I order donuts, there's always this donut shop vibe happening. People behind the desk have been hard at work making them, and now they're serving them out into the world, and the people who are getting the donuts are generally happy to be there, and then there's this whole transaction. And one day, while in line, I thought, wasn't this interesting? This little subculture, this little small world that happens in the donut shop in the morning. And I show up there occasionally. It's not a part of my regular world. So I didn't know if at 5:30 when they opened, if there would be a line outside, if there was an early morning crew that comes right when they open. So I rolled out of bed, not wanting to miss a thing. I lived pretty close to the donut shop, and I got there in the dark, parked my car, and stood outside the donut shop at 5:30, and clearly was the only person in the entire parking lot. No one around. The lights aren't even on in the donut shop. The open sign's not on yet, and I was like 2 minutes late. I was really trying not to be late. And I had to knock on the door to start the morning. So Julie would come over. That's how I would find her name was Julie. She is the donut shop woman at our local donut shop, but I just kind of knew her up to that point as the donut shop woman. So I knocked, and she was kind of perplexed at why someone was knocking at exactly 5:30 to get donuts. This man must really need donuts. So I knocked, and she opened and said, come on in, sure. And she, turned the lights on and said, I kind of like before the sun comes up to work in the dark. I just kind of appreciate the calm of it. And she turned on the open sign and invited me in, she thought, just to get my donuts and go on my way. But I'm not, I explained. I said, I'm a minister at a local congregation, and if you'd be okay with it, I'd like to just kind of hang out for a couple hours, a few hours, 4 hours in your donut shop to see what happens. And she was like, oh, okay, that's kind of weird, but as long as when folks show up and start, there's only 4 tables in this donut shop. So she said, as long as, when people come, because I hadn't really made friends with Julie yet. She was like, well, as long as people come, you'll leave, and open up the tables. I said, I get it, of course. I'm not going to do that. What I did not tell Julie was that I was there to seek the secrets of the universe and find insight into my own soul by contemplating donuts and her donut shop culture. I did not want to get thrown out, so I left that part quiet. So there I sat. I sat down as she did that preparatory stuff that happens, that you would assume happens before a donut shop opens. The cleaning of the window, the getting of the donuts and laying them out in exactly the right way, the folding of the boxes, all the stuff that happens before we show up. And Paul McCartney and U2 and Phil Collins and Tom Petty and Prince were drifting from a radio in the back. It wasn't an overhead radio. It was that kind of radio that's coming from where the work is happening and just slightly spills out over into the shop. And I thought, okay, so the music's going to be good. The sun will come up eventually in a couple hours, and I'll just check it out. So in that long pause between people showed up to get donuts in my time with Julie, she was busy getting things going. But she warmed a bit once I purchased my donut and let her know that I was sane. And she said that she's been making donuts at Delish Donuts over there off 3rd Street for 14 years. They started that shop in 2009. And I asked her if she enjoyed it. I had in my mind this romantic image of someone who just loves donuts and comes in with joy every single morning. But if you do remember the Dunkin' Donuts commercials, right, the time to make the donuts commercials, the guy gets up with a sense of obligation to make the donuts, time to make the donuts. I have that since some time in my own life about how I approach my day. But I thought, for sure, she just must love donuts. And the reality that it was a mix of pragmatism and showing up for the job and still loving donuts and what she did. They used to make donuts there 7 days a week, but now they take Mondays off. Good for them. And so there we sat as things got going. She began to share with me about what it takes to make donuts. 4 to 6 hours, she said, to make a load of donuts. Lots of mixing and shaping and rising and cooking and separating. She said, we're not just going back there and dropping burgers and fries. It is a pastry art. It takes time before we show up. She arrives at 3 o'clock in the morning to finish the cooking of the donuts, and her husband also does the main cooking in the back. So they've shifted their entire life into this schedule so that we can show up in the morning and have donuts. Thank you, donut makers of the world. And so there I sat. At about 5:42, I decided I would get my first donut of the day. And so, because I was doing a project on donuts, what is the first donut that I would get? Would be a plain glazed, right, exactly. A plain glazed donut, the most classic of all donuts, I would say. The classic. And so I got the first donut, and I took a bite, and the same thing happens every time I take the first bite into a glazed donut, and I am just transported back to my childhood, into all these different events that have happened in my life around donuts. Donuts were what happened on Fridays at swim practice, and it was glorious to sit in the hot sun and eat those donuts amongst all my friends. But further at swim practice, donuts would also mark one of my first rites of passage when I was old enough to leave the swimming pool without any parent supervision and go with other kids and walk across the large parking lot to Kroger and get our own donuts. It was one of the first times I ever felt my own individuality and being in the world, responsible enough to go get my own donuts. I think about when I was in high school and Sunday school, how Donna and Jim would always bring donuts to our Sunday school, again, to bribe us to get there, and it worked. We loved the donuts, and it was there in that classroom eating donuts that I began to first think about these ideas of theology and what concepts of God meant or did not mean to me, and push those boundaries of the religion of origin that I was raised in. And I thought back to other times in high school. There was this donut shop that we would walk. We didn't have cars yet, so we would walk 3 miles to this donut shop and eat some donuts, and we would all walk home. That was the activity, going to get donuts. Sure, let's go to the donut shop. And off we would walk for hours and hours on end. Or when my wife and I were hiking the Appalachian Trail, and we decided to see if we could eat a whole dozen of donuts ourselves. And yes, you can. You can take down 6 donuts if you're hiking that much. But all these experiences in my life, different points, and donuts were this odd, nostalgic reminder of different places in my life that I've been and different people that I have been throughout my life because I have grown and changed over time. And then around 5:54, the phone rang and kind of knocked me out of my nostalgic donut ethereal thinking about my past. And somebody got she got the phone call, and it was the first order of the day. It was the man ordering 5 dozen donuts for his office. And then at 6:04, someone came in. Hey, it was a regular. She knew who this person was. How are your holidays? Hope you got some time off. And then the second person came in around 6:20 and got a cream-filled donut. Yes, indeed. And I began to think about my relationship with donuts themselves, because cream-filled is actually, the chocolate cream-filled is actually my favorite donut as well, the chocolate cream-filled. If I was just going to get one, it would be this one. So then I started thinking about my relationship to all the different donuts and how they're unique, and how I also like the Long John. That is a good donut as well. But I don't understand what this is. The coconut on the top thing? No, I do not like that. Maple, I found out from Julie, is a very popular, one of the most popular ones. If you go, she would say, come early in the morning. That's how you're sure to get one. But maples go quick, but I don't understand that kind of icing either. And then there's this a strange French one. Yeah. And then there's, of course, the classic, the cake donut with the sprinkles, right? And then there's this strange thing that has some kind of fruit filling in it, which seems not right. But yet, as I did that, I saw people shaking their heads no, and I saw people nodding their heads yes, as if to say, amen, that's my donut, that's the one I associate with. How strange. We each have our individual relationships with the different donuts. And in doing so, we somehow carve out some sense of identity in ourselves through what we like, what we don't like, what we associate with, what we don't associate with. And from this, we begin to, from our earliest days on, cobble together some sense of identity of who it is that we are, right? You are more than the donut choices you have. But if you take that further out, you indeed are the naming of your relationships to all those things around you. We have relationships with donuts, yes, but we have relationships with nature. We have relationships with the people around us, with ideas, with concepts. We have relationship with all kinds of different foods that we may or may not like. We have relationships with different professions. Some professions are our vocations. Some professions we disdain. But it's not too far of a jump to understand that all of our lives are created, our identities at least, through these kinds of relationships. Well, she did warn me that most folks don't show up until at least 7, and it was at 7 o'clock that trickle started to happen over and over. The dad and his kid coming in and saying, how are you? We'd be better with some donuts in our bellies. Or the man who came in just really to talk. The old couple that came in, and Julie recognized them because they were regulars. And in that way, the line started to happen, never more than 2 at a time, but people started to come get their donuts and claim their own place in this morning drama. There are lots of different ways to order donuts. You have the way that you order donuts. You might not have thought about it, but you probably do, and now you'll probably overthink it next time you order donuts. But you might say, let's do some glaze, or you might say, how about a? Or, what do you think about the? And then, or I'll take a, that was a popular one, I'll take a. May I have a? Can I get a? I'm gonna need a. All these are different ways, but there's some way that we figure out how we're going to communicate to the donut person who we are and how we would like to interface with that donut. And in doing so, somehow create an outside perceived identity from that other person. At the end of the day, I didn't know anybody's politics, their history, their joys or their struggles, but I did notice that each of us was happy to get a donut. Each of us was happy to have Julie's attention turned to us for that one moment to recognize just singly us. You know what I'm talking about. You've been in line, you're a little impatient, you can't wait to get to the front, you wish they'd hurry, but when you get to the front, you say, it's my moment, my turn. My individuality is being seen, I am being held, I am being heard and listened to and received by this other human in the universe. Julie stays until about 1, until all the donuts are gone, or until 1. I learned lots of things at the donut shop, all kinds of lessons that I thought would show up in this sermon, and they didn't. I ended up leaving after 4 hours. That third table became full, and so I, good to my word, said, I'm at the 4th table. It is time for me to pack up and leave. I thought I had enough information, all these little tidbits around how people order, about decisions. Decisions can be so tough, about how she uses this wonderful little methodology of expecting and knowing what's going to happen in the donut sales world, but every single morning is different, and so she has to pivot and adjust in the same way. There were all kinds of metaphors to be found for this service. And knowing that we were talking about finding our center, I thought we have enough to point towards, who we are in our individuality. And so as I was going to the register to get my donuts that I was going to take home to my family to eat, there I saw it in a bag, the donut hole, right? I said, well, there's, of course, that's it. I love it when it happens. I love it when a sermon comes full circle. And I will use the donut hole as the metaphor to talk about finding our center in the donut. Of course, it's perfect. I could see myself writing the sermon. I could see telling you all about it. And I went home proud, and I went home thinking I had nothing more to think about. And yet, you ever have that feeling where something just seems too simple, too easy? Too easy. Because I knew that wasn't true. You don't come here for cheap answers or bad theology. They actually don't make the donut hole out of the donut hole. So it's a bad metaphor, and I'm not going to give that to you. So that means I had to go further down the donut hole. So what are holes? Becomes the question. Suki Finnis is a lecturer of philosophy at the Royal Holloway in University of London, and she researches metaphysics and the philosophy of logic. And so she looked at the ideas of holes. So we have a donut, and here's the idea. You have what we call the host, which is the space of the donut, and you have the hole, which is called the guest. This is in donut philosophy. Whole philosophy, technically. And I kid you not, this is from a German Jewish writer, Kurt Tucholsky, who wrote a book called The Sociology and the Psychology of Holes. So we have the host and we have the guest. And what we're establishing here is that the question is, does the whole exist? Do holes even exist, or are they just the absence of the host? So it becomes a logic problem. We can make three claims that there are no immaterial objects. Any materialists in the house, right? The world is made of material. But secondly, there are holes. And thirdly, holes are immaterial objects. So we find ourselves in a deep logic problem. How can holes exist? Well, there are ways around this, like considering that perhaps that the whole is the part that contains just a little bit of the host, and if we take that, then we can construct a whole, but really then it becomes an idea of like what is connected to the whole and what is not, so that doesn't work. And you could say that holes exist in so much as they are perforations in solid objects, but that doesn't really work because we know that holes are more than just holes in something. We experience them as a separate concept. There is a hole in this. So I tried to logically think it out and reason it, and that did not work either. So here I am still stuck with a service to give you all, barreling down through the week, and I've decided that I'm not going to talk about donut holes. And oddly, I felt like I was on the wrong track by getting further and further away from some kind of scientific answer. The space in the middle. The space in the middle. Science and philosophy can point us oh so far, and then religion and spirituality enter the picture. The Tao Te Ching in chapter 11 says, 30 spokes share the hub of a wheel, yet its center is what makes it useful. You can mold clay into a vessel, yet its emptiness is what makes it useful. Cut doors and windows from the walls of a house, but the ultimate use of a house will depend on that part where nothing exists. Therefore, something is shaped into what it is, but it is useful because of what it is not. I wanted to find what the whole was. In the same way, in my own life, I am so tempted to figure out what is inside of me and thinking that I can claim that by identity, by pointing to the things outside of myself that I collect, those relationships. Throughout my life, I return to these ideas over and over again. Who am I? Who is it that I am? And I answer that by naming these external relationships to myself. And time again, that answer never quite gets me to the center of who it is that I am. What if that space in the middle that I kind of can't define, that hole, not in a way of deficit, not in a way of needing to be filled, but that spaciousness that is inside of me, that is life itself, that is the place that I can find when I meditate and calm all of the voices, all of the relationships, all the identities. How strange it was when I first meditated and I realized that the goal was to turn off all the stuff. No, I said, all this stuff is me. What happens if there's none of that stuff? Something different happens. Something I am a part of. Something that is of me. Something that is me. Inside of me. In the center of me. But oddly empty in the best of ways. Allowing me access to the sacred. To what is holy. Something self-aware. Something that is beyond words, but understandably connected to all that is. I'd hoped that morning, sitting in a donut shop, that I could find some kind of insight into my soul. And I knew right away it was going to have something to do with the hole in the middle. I went for an easy answer at first, the donut hole. But I knew it wasn't right. Something was nagging me that couldn't really be it. When we find those answers that feel good, that something's nagging us, that it's not quite deep enough. It doesn't quite go all the way down. It's not experiential. We open back up. We open back our lives to receiving all that is around us and wondering how it is we might relate to the whole of everything and also relate to the no thing. And so I thought this sermon would come full circle. I had a nice, neat little end planned. It was going to be me at the checkout, going home to my family, finding the donut hole, bringing you all the good word of the prophecy that there is a center to the donut, and it is the donut hole. In truth, I didn't even go back to Delish Donuts. I went to Richard's Donuts this morning to fulfill the donut hole order that you can have at coffee hour. It was not a full circle. It was not a straight line. But I opened it up and followed it where it went. It led to Richard's and Delish, and the donut shop also has really good donuts. I'm being paid by none of them this morning. But what is the donut? Who are we? That deep question, who am I? What is the donut? Is it the host? Is it the guest? What is the donut? Well, that is the donut. In its entirety, in its fullness, in its holiness. Amen. All right. Will you please rise and bow to your spirit as we sing our closing hymn, Circle Round for Freedom. of how we hope to walk in the world and how we hope to be with one another.
Love is the spirit of this fellowship, and service is its law. This is our covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
We go into this day knowing that there is something inside of you, something beyond words, something beyond naming, something that is truly holy. It is what makes you alive in this world. Create some space for it. Get to know it. It will always be there for you.